Just play it.
Joe the Plumber.
Joe the Plumber.
Joe the Plumber. Joe the Plumber.
Joe the Plumber.
Joe the Plumber. We're talking about Joe the Plumber. Joe, you're rich. Congratulations. Now, Joe, you're rich. Congratulations.
That includes you, Joe.
All right. I want, Joe, you to do the job.
And I'm happy to talk to you, Joe, too, if you're out there.
Gene, the columnist, joins us now. Eugene Robinson, columnist, associate editor for the Washington Post, also political analyst for MSNBC. Good evening, Gene.
Evening, Keith.
All right,
how are you?
He's Joe Wurzelbacher, and unfortunately, considering he was the second man on the team for Mr. McCain called him Joe Wurzelberger, which sort of ruins it. There he is in the shot. He's the guy on the right, obviously. It's one of these, again, visceral things that just tends to overwhelm everything else in the debate. He got mentioned 21 times by John McCain and 4 times by Barack Obama, and obviously that's a nice thing for him. Did it serve America's purposes at all, and did it in fact serve John McCain's purposes, because we're talking about Joe the Plumber instead of John McCain?
Right. I don't think it served John McCain's purposes. You know, Joe the Plumber is supposed to be illustrative. Apparently, plumbing is some sort of all-American occupation. You know, not Marge the systems analyst, but Joe the Plumber is I guess supposed to be representative of you know, tax problems and economic problems and healthcare problems. It got silly when they actually started addressing their answers to Joe rather than to Bob Schieffer or to America or anybody else. It was, and you know, in the end, it was kind of a waste of time in a debate that I doubt really shifted the ground underneath this election very much. I mean, I actually thought it was quite an interesting debate, Joe aside, just because, not so much because of the individual answers, but because of what came out, the philosophies that came out. And I think the reason that those uncommitted voters are saying they thought Barack Obama won the debate is they listened to John McCain and they heard Republican philosophy. They heard, you know, I'm not going to raise your taxes, we're going to cut spending. They heard what they have heard from Republican candidates for a long time. People are not stupid. They know what they're hearing. And they heard something different from Barack Obama. And so, you know, I think people are listening to them, sometimes despite the candidates' best efforts to either put them to sleep or make them think they're intruders in a conversation between the candidates and Joe. And people listen and they hear and they think that times are different now, and I think they're looking for something different.
Yeah, and